Good morning. It's Monday, November 30th, and I'm Monique Plessas with Rahul, Gupta at Observer TV News. Here are today's top stories. The investigation of the Toronto Humane Society continues this week. The Montreal Alouettes score a narrow win in Calgary, and New Moon is still sweeping at the box office. And now to our top story.
A plane crash off the coast of mainland British Columbia yesterday has left 6 people dead, including an infant. Rescuers made the gruesome discovery late last night off the coast of Centennial Island. The float plane had been declared missing earlier in the day when it took off from Lyle Harbor. The quick thinking of islanders saved the life of 2 of the plane's passengers. The islanders jumped into their boats and retrieved the survivors before the plane sank into the icy waters. The cause of the crash is unknown. The survivors include one of the pilots and a female passenger. They are recovering in a Victoria hospital.
Shocking allegations are still surfacing in the week-long investigation at the Toronto Humane Society. The Ontario Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals will remain at the shelter even after the warrant expires tomorrow. Officials say that they will keep investigating because of the overwhelming volume of information and cruelty evidence being discovered. One of the latest discoveries was a mummified cat that was found in the ceiling Friday. It apparently got trapped and unable to escape died a slow and painful death. The lead investigator, Kevin Struban, called it a house of horrors earlier this weekend.
The federal government is threatening to send striking Canadian National Railway workers back to work as early as today. That's according to an unnamed senior government official. Nearly 1,700 workers have been striked since Friday. At issue is a mileage cap that the union says would require engineers to work 7 days a week. Last week, the union rejected a 1.5% wage increase that CN offered. The federal government has said it has prepared back-to-work emergency legislation that could be tabled as early as today if the two sides don't reach a deal. It affects only freight trains, not via passenger service.
A candle may be to blame for a blaze erupting yesterday in the Victoria Park and Eglinton Avenue area. 14 people were injured after the fire spread quickly from the 4th floor apartment through the rest of the building. Most residents were awakened by smoke alarms and screams of other residents and quickly made their escape. A couple who lived in a unit just down the hall from where the fire started waited for help by their apartment window. They weren't able to use their front door because it was filled with a layer of black smoke. The young couple said they were worried for themselves and their 4-month-old infant.
Centennial College students came back from their summer vacations to a minor disruption. Ordinarily, the courtyard at the Center for Creative Communication has a wonderful little fish pond, but this year, something has gone wrong. Will Sen has the report.
The koi pond in the courtyard of the CCC is usually a glimmering oasis, but it isn't what it used to be. The fish aren't complaining, but sometime in the summer, algae took over and clouded the water. The filtration system is similar to those found in pools. It broke down over the summer, and since then, the fish have been nearly invisible in the little pond.
Well, I don't really know the optimal environment for koi, but if that was me, I would want my home cleaned up a little more.
It's hard to say whether or not the water quality will improve in time for students to enjoy the fish. The days are starting to get colder, and soon the fish will need to be stored away for the winter.
So even though you can't see them, the fish are here. Will Sen, Observer Television News, Toronto.
Cooking is just another daily aspect of most families, but for one Peruvian woman, it means much more than that. And it's how she keeps her culture alive here in Canada. Brad Pritchard reports.
In a 3-bedroom bungalow in Scarborough, Peruvian culture is being preserved and shared, one serving at a time. In this house, Yolanda Bueno holds nightly culinary symphonies in her kitchen. Almost every night she creates and shares meals she grew up with in her home country, Peru.
The food for me is really connection by my country. It's really, I feel like, I told you, when I smell some stuff, say, oh, this is like when I was in Peru, when I cooking with my family, you know.
She admits cooking is her true passion, but it wasn't always. Moving to Canada meant leaving behind her career in nursing, her family, and the culture she had grown accustomed to for almost 50 years. She says Peruvian food is what soothes her soul. Claudia Bueno is her daughter, and she has been learning to cook traditional Peruvian meals ever since her family moved here in 1998. She is learning the way her mother was taught, by watching, and she says cooking is a very important aspect of her culture.
And food is one of the ways that culture gets passed down, and it gets I don't know, it just keeps it alive.
What makes these family recipes extra special is that they exist only in the minds of the cooks who make them. However, that is about to change.
Unlike her mother, Claudia plans to write down these recipes one day. She feels it's an important aspect to preserving her Peruvian culture while here in Canada. From the kitchen, I'm Brad Pritchard for Toronto Observer News.
The 97th Grey Cup is over, and it might have been the wildest ones yet. The Montreal Alouettes captured the cup after rallying from a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter to beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 28-27 in Calgary. David Duval's 33-yard field goal sealed the victory as time expired, but the Roughriders and their boisterous fans had actually thought they had won when Duval missed a previous attempt. As players celebrated on the field, refs halted the festivities and announced a penalty against the Riders. That allowed the Owls to retry the kick 10 yards closer. This time, Duval made no mistake, and it was Montreal celebrating and hoisting the Grey Cup. Avon Colborne was named the game's most outstanding player. The Montreal tailback had nearly 150 all-purpose yards, including the key touchdown that brought the Owls within striking distance.
And in breaking news, another drunk driving charge is being laid after 2 people were struck by a vehicle in the city's East End earlier this morning. Although the suspect allegedly fled the scene, he was located a short time after, as police found him with the help of witnesses who took down the car's license plate number. The accident happened at the intersection of Kingston Road and Elmer Avenue.
And finally, if it doesn't snow in the next 12 hours, Toronto will have had its mildest November in decades. For the first time in 70 years, no snow fell during the month, and temperatures range from 6 to 8 degrees Celsius. But don't get too comfy. Meteorologists are calling for flurries as early as Friday.
Now let's send it over to Jenna Conter for a look at all the buzz in the entertainment world.
Thanks, I'm Jenna Conter, and here's what's buzzing at the box office this week. The well has not run dry for Twilight Saga's New Moon. Millions of screaming girls have kept it #1 at the box office again, and in the rank estimated $66 million over the 5-day American Thanksgiving weekend. All in all, the vampire flick has brought in over a near record-breaking $270 million. Sandra Bullock's new movie, The Blind Side, came out Friday. It captures the real-life story of Baltimore Raven rookie Michael Orr. This football drama managed to take just under $60 million this weekend. Rounding out the weekend, Disney's Old Dog, starring Robin Williams and John Travolta, only managed a $16 million weekend. The Fantastic Mr. Fox also bombed. It features the voices of George Clooney and Meryl Streep. It grabbed a disappointing $7 million. And that's all from entertainment for now. Stay tuned for more after the break.
Six. Now serving number 6.
You don't have to wait forever for the career of your choice. With Fast Track at Centennial College, complete a program in business, technology, or healthcare, and get working in as little as 8 months. Fast Track. To learn more, contact Centennial College.
If you don't love what you do, go find something you will. Centennial College. Start here, don't look back.
And here's some more entertainment. Well, the power of millions of screaming girls has proven itself again. The Twilight Saga's New Moon made #1 at the box office for the second week in a row. The vampire romance brought in $42.5 million over the American Thanksgiving weekend. And if you're planning on staying home tonight, check out the last new episode of House before the show goes away for the holidays. Tonight's episode will focus almost entirely on Wilson. We'll see what happens when he has trouble treating a patient who also happens to be a friend. And finally, if you're interested in Chris Brown's attempts at redemption, tune in to 2020 on December 11th. ABC has announced that he will speak out about his assault on ex-girlfriend Rihanna in an in-depth interview. Conveniently, Brown's new record Graffiti comes out 3 days before the interview airs. And that's all from entertainment. Now let's send it over to Luke, Champion, and Steve Darley for the latest in...
Thanks, Laura, and hi, everyone. Alfred Hitchcock himself couldn't have put any more suspense into the final game of the CFL season. Last night, the Montreal Alouettes and Saskatchewan Roughriders faced off in a Grey Cup for the ages. Despite dominating throughout the game, the Roughriders came up short in the final seconds. A call for too many men on the field gave the Alouettes a chance for redemption with a field goal by Damon Duval in the final seconds. That led to a 28-27 victory for Montreal.
Thanks, Luke, and hello, everyone. And what a weekend it's been for football fans north of the 49th. Last night in Calgary, the Montreal Alouettes won a nail-biter 28-27 over the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the 97th Grey Cup. The Owls bounced back from a stuttering first half where they were held to just 3 points. It took veteran quarterback Anthony Calvillo 3 quarters to really get going, but the future Hall of Famer delivered at just the right time. They were trailing by 16 at one stage in the fourth quarter. Then Calvillo sent running back Avon Coburn in for a 3-yard score. Calvillo then connected with Ben Cahoon on a 16-yard touchdown pass to get the Owls within 2 points of the Riders. With no time left on the clock, the Owls looked like they'd lost after kicker Damon Duval shanked his 43-yard attempt at a game-winning field goal. Then the Rough Riders were called for too many men on the field. So this time from 33 yards, Duval got a second shot at glory. He nailed it. Montreal last won the Grey Cup in 2002.
Saga continues to get curiouser and curiouser. Woods released a statement accepting full responsibility for the mysterious car accident he was involved in Friday, but he canceled his scheduled meeting yesterday with police. This was the third meeting he's canceled, and this time it was not rescheduled. The Woods camp is asking for privacy, but due to the strange and unusual nature of the incident, you can be sure this isn't the end of the story.
Back to football, and equally exciting was the Saturday afternoon playing of the Vanier Cup. The best footballing schools from the East and West squared off in Quebec City as the Queen's Golden Gales took on the heavily favored Dinos from the University of Calgary. Nearly 20,000 fans braved a cold and blustery day to see the Kingston-based team overcome a 20-point halftime deficit to pull off an improbable victory. Queen's quarterback Danny Brannigan turned in an MVP performance as he led the Gales in a brave fight back. Queen scored 26 unanswered points as they finally took the lead late in the fourth quarter and held for the 33-31 victory.
The Toronto Public School Board is teeter-tottering the school budget several years now. Many of the city's community centers have been threatening with foreclosure of their after-school programs and their swimming pools. Reporter Irina Lichak investigates.
Several months now due to provincial budget cutbacks.
This is Irina Lichak reporting live for Toronto Observer. I'm standing here outside of Unisys Swim School, a local community center that provides swimming classes in the evenings for the students living in this area.
The Toronto School Board claims it doesn't have enough money to support after-school programs. The lack of funding threatens to end swimming classes here. Taylor Kintz is one of the students who has been coming here after school for her daily exercise.
How do you feel about your swimming classes being canceled?
Also said that she's made a lot of friends here over the past 2 years and will have a hard time keeping in touch. A spokesperson for the community center refused to comment.
Because of these recent cutbacks, unfortunately, a lot of community centers in the area have suffered, and a lot of kids have lost their extracurricular activities. This is Irina Lichak, reporting live for Toronto Observer.
The UTSC Spartans women's soccer team plays no matter what the weather. Here's Observer TV's Muzna Siddiqui with the story.
Even though it's pouring out here, the Scarborough Spartans are gearing up to play against downtown's PT Flash team. Coach Jeff believes that the Spartans are going to win despite the wet conditions.
A really fast team, so whenever you have a really fast team, the rain does put a little bit of an effect, slows everyone down. Luckily, the field isn't too muddy, so we'll be able to use our speed to our advantage, so hopefully it won't hinder us that much.
The Spartans almost had a perfect season, but because of a technical error, they had to replay a match. They finished their season 5-1. CC Louis says that the team still has a lot of high spirits going into the game.
It's going to be really tight. This is a good team. They beat us in the final last year as well after 5 converts. So that was an insane of a game, and I'm expecting this to be exactly the same because they're a good team, but I really look better. So hopefully that comes out today.
Louis also says this has been one of the best football seasons they've had.
It's a really great team that I'm on. Everyone's really supportive. Everyone's great, so I'm really excited. Well, it looks like the rain is still coming down hard, but the UTSC Spartans should still prevail. This is Ms. Siddiqui reporting for Centennial College News.
And in hockey news, all is not well with the Maple Leafs. On top of their dismal record this season, it seems the players aren't getting along either. Mikhail Grabovski and Francois Bochman were involved in a scuffle during practice yesterday and needed to be separated. Reports say Grabovski tried to punch Bochman. In slightly better news for the Leafs, Mike Komisarek is back on skates as of yesterday. He's expected to lace up tonight against the Sabres. The defenseman has been out for 3 weeks recovering from a tear to his quad since November 10th.
Olympic skiing dreams were quite literally broken for top medal contender John Kuchera on the weekend. The 25-year-old reigning downhill world champion crashed and broke his left leg in a World Cup Super G race. He was airlifted from the Lake Louise, Alberta course and then taken to hospital in nearby Banff. Alpine Canada officials said he needs surgery and then rehab. Vancouver 2010 is less than 3 months away, and officials say that makes it impossible for Kuchera to recover in time. Canadian teammate Manuel Osborne-Parody won the race, which gives him a guaranteed spot on Canada's Olympic roster.
And that's it for sporting news. Here's Mike Crisolago with his thoughts. Take it away, Mike.
The Saskatchewan Roughriders lost the Grey Cup by taking a penalty for having too many players on the field. For me, it's refreshing to see a referee in a professional sport affect the outcome of the game by making the correct call instead of blowing one. I mean, just ask Irish soccer fans. They're out of next year's World Cup thanks to a very obvious French handball that set up a game-winning goal. Major League Baseball was also plagued by a rash of terrible calls from umpires this past postseason. However, despite overwhelming video evidence, both FIFA and the MLB refused to overturn any of the blown calls. Yes, human error is part of professional sports, but when the most important games of the season are compromised because of terrible officiating, so too is the credibility of the sport. MLB and FIFA need to show their players and the fans the respect they deserve by ensuring that the integrity of their sport remains intact. That means instant replays or at least some sort of reparations for the affected team. It's bad enough that performance-enhancing drugs already permeate many major professional sports. The bad officiating just adds to the lack of credibility. We're in danger of promoting a generation of athletic heroes that never really deserved to win in the first place. Mike Crisolago, Observer Television News, Toronto. We'll be right back with Stephanie's rant after this.
Six. Now serving number 6.
You don't have to wait forever for the career of your choice. With Fast Track at Centennial College, complete a program in business, technology, or healthcare, and get working in as little as 8 months. Fast Track. To learn more, contact Centennial College.
If you don't love what you do, go find something you will. Centennial College. Start here, don't look back.
Welcome back. The TTC is going to raise the fares as of January 3rd, and my only hope is that they will up the services. This morning during rush hour, I waited 20 minutes for the bus to arrive. So did a lot of other people. I find this unacceptable, especially since they will be raising the fares by 25 cents. Another thing that really bothers me about the TTC service is when I see people gunning it to catch the bus and the drivers drive away. This is something that has happened to me a number of times, and I hope that the TTC takes these few things into consideration before the fare hike. And those are my thoughts for Observer TV News. I'm Stephanie Fahel. Now back to Monique and Rahul.
Thank you, Stephanie, and that's what's making news this hour. Stay with us for more news coming up. Check our website anytime at the torontoobserver.ca.
On behalf of us at Observer TV News, thanks for watching and have a great day.